Hey everybody, Alex from Corso Systems here. We're excited to partner with Peakboard, and today we're showing off the Peakboard Alarming tool that we developed. It's backed by a SQL Server database, so you can track alarm history, and is integrated with the variables in Peakboard so we can generate alarms for any of the values that we're looking at. Here you see the basic alarm screen with any active alarms showing up. We have a current flow PV alarm and a temperature PV alarm. They show an active time and an acknowledged time. And then when those values clear out of an alarm state, they'll show up as a cleared time and drop off this list if they're acknowledged. And then down here we have a legend showing if we're active and unacknowledged, active and acknowledged, cleared and unacknowledged. And then this rectangle highlighting them if it's high, high, or low, low, or in yellow if it's high or low. We can set a set point here to generate an alarm. And that will show up with a new alarm with a new active time. Currently show that it's not acknowledged and it hasn't cleared. We can either click on the alarm to acknowledge it, or we can hit the acknowledge all button to acknowledge all unacknowledged alarms. And if we come back in here and enter a non-alarm set point, that will clear off the list. We can also go to alarm history, and that will give us a list of all the alarm events that we have seen. And we'll scroll down here to the bottom and see the temperature set point alarm that we just did, and when it came in, when it was acknowledged, and when it was cleared. So that's the basic Peakboard functionality. Let's go back into the Peakboard designer and see how all this works. So first we'll go to the alarm screen. This uses a list component here for the alarms, and then some text components, text field, and a couple buttons. Here you'll see this list is tied to our alarms data source, and we have a template defined that populates each entry for this list. First, we'll take a look at our alarm data source. That's connected to a SQL Server database on this laptop running this query. This is something you would need to adjust on your side once you import this into your Peakboard project to get data from your database. We also have an alarm history data source, and that pulls all the data from the history table, and you can order that however you want. We just left default sorting on by now. You may sort by time that it came active or time when it was acknowledged, descending, so things show up at the top of the list, however you want to do that. Next, go into our template on this list. These are all text fields to display data coming from the database, and these are mapped to data coming from our data source. So if we go into there, we see which column we're looking at. So that would be our tag name. This one would be our value. And then these are our timestamps. We also have set up various fonts. So we have active act, active unact, cleared act, and cleared unact. Gives us a yellow color, a red color, white if it's cleared and acknowledged, a greenish color if it's cleared and unacknowledged. And you can change those to whatever you want. And if we go back to our template, we see that we are using conditional formatting for these text fields. So we're looking at the value of the act column for act, unact, and act if it's still active, and then for cleared if we've cleared but have not acknowledged it yet. And that sets our font property accordingly for that condition. And then we just have a temperature set point value that's set to our temperature set point variable for testing. We just created a variable here, pretty straightforward. You'll see we have a on data reload script here. We can either click this little link here to pull that up, or we can go to the after data reload scripts here. You'll see we have a Lua script written. At the top, we have our alarm set points and our tag name and current value. And then we're checking to see if we're in a high alarm, a high alarm, only a low alarm, or in a low alarm. Or if we're not in an alarm condition, then we'll set that it's cleared if we currently have an uncleared alarm. And then we also have a log alarm function that we're calling that simplifies how much code we need to write. We write that in the function section and call that based on this tag value and the alarm type that it is. Here we'll see the log alarm functions. This we're passing in a tag, a value, and a type parameter. Then we are doing an insert into the database with those values, concatenating the string here with the tag, value, and type to build a parameterized query. You will need to update your database connection ID when you import this into your project. The easiest way to do that is to go to functions, select your database connection, and run SQL query, double click, and that will give you your ID here. Then you can copy and paste that into the get from ID calls in any of the scripts, and then that will map to your system. And you'll see we have a few control scripts here for buttons. On the main page, we have a history button that's in block mode instead of script mode. That simply takes us to the alarm history screen. We have an acknowledge all button. Again, you would have to update your ID here, and that updates all of the unacknowledged alarms with an acknowledged state. And then on the history screen, we have a button to go back to the active alarm screen. And then the alarm history screen looks similar. We're using the list component again with a template defined and tied to a history data source. We have the same legend down here and then a button to go back to the active screen. Overall, it's pretty straightforward. I'll take a look at the database really quick. We have a PB_alarms table with a handful of columns to track the tag name, the alarm value when it came active, when it was acknowledged, cleared, and then just an integer value to track that it was acknowledged or cleared and what alarm type it is. We provided a create table script that you would run to generate this table in your system, and then a Peakboard file that you can import into your Peakboard project and create and manage your data sources with the IDs and scripting, and everything should be good to go. Again, we're excited to partner with Peakboard and build out more functionality that we can use to apply to SCADA systems and process controls with Peakboard and build some really cool stuff. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.